Yo, what is going on, part-timers? Zach here. In today's video, we're going to be talking about guilds and just giving you guys a basic idea of what's going on with them. So if you have not joined a guild, you can see this button right here and you will click it and it'll pretty much say, hey, do you want to create or do you want to apply to one? You can do that. But if you are a part of a guild, you can click this button and it will take you to the home screen. So this is going to be from the perspective as an owner. So some of these menus are going to matter to you. Some of them are not, depending on your status and your membership and the guild. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is going to be here to the left. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but this is going to be your weekly contribution. So as a team, what can you get to in order to get some of these different rewards? I'll talk about what these currencies are once we get to the reward section, but the whole entire team and the whole entire guild contributes to this based on the stuff that they do in the mission. So it's very important to do this. Down to the left, this is just going to be your chat. I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but it does give you updates in case you're wondering. Now to the right, this is going to be a little button that a lot of the owners are probably going to use more than anybody, because if you're a member, I think you can leave guild and you can probably see your position, but you're probably not going to see too much like the settings application recruit. If you go to your settings, you can actually select like level requirement. You can do approval, not allowed, all that kind of different stuff. And if you are looking for applications, you'll actually probably get like a little blue indicator if somebody's applied, and you'll be like, okay, all right, somebody has applied, and you'll probably get a list or whatever of somebody who's applied. You can accept or deny them based on whatever. And then you can actually go to recruit. If you are not getting a lot of applicants, you're just not being able to find anybody, or nobody's really looking for guilds, you can go to recruit and you can see kind of like free agents. Basically, these guys are just people who are looking to join guilds, and you can go through here and you recruit them if you want to and go through there. So that is the idea behind that. This one is just going to be a shortcut to recruit if you want a little bit faster or whatever. Now, talking about the level, this is just going to help you out with the level cap or the overall cap on your memberships. So you can see like 2 out of 45. I'll explain what that 2 means, because I think a lot of people are like, oh, well, I just accepted 20 people. Why is it only saying 2 out of 45? The actual cap is like at 30. And I think as you progress through the levels, like level 2 or level 3, you'll get a higher cap. So you'll be able to get to level 45, or like members of 45 anyway, that you can contribute more and more members and stuff like that. The other part of this is going to be this little speaker box. You can sit in here and, you know, basically select what greetings you want when people join, like, hey, welcome part-timers, you know, greetings to whatever you want to put in here. And then you just select whichever box you want whenever people join, or you can disable the channel chat in general if you don't want anybody talking, which would be kind of weird, but you could definitely do it. Now, members and owners can see this. This is just going to be rankings, and this is going to give you an idea of the top ranking guilds in general and kind of where you fall in line as your guild. So you can see that, you know, the top of the top guilds are doing really well. And then you can actually see details and stuff like that and see who's on there and who's contributing and all that kind of stuff if you want to. And then this part is going to be the news. This also pops up in the chat, like I explained earlier. It's just talking about like, hey, we leveled up, hey, we did this, hey, we did that. So if you're really wanting to keep up with the news in your guild, or if you're an owner and you really kind of want to see this, this is a good place to be. Now, the news info, this is for owners. Anybody who wants to put something in here, maybe have an announcement like, hey, we're about to hit this, or hey, if you know anybody who wants to join a guild, you can put this. Right now, I just have welcome part-timers because it's like the first week. So everybody, hey, welcome. We're going to get into some stuff here later. So, you know, eventually I'll put news in there and all that kind of stuff. So for members, it says 2 out of 45. So don't freak out. That just means that there is that many people online. So it actually just changed to 3 out of 45. That's just how many people are online right now. You can actually go through here and see how many members you have. So this is a good place to go if you're an owner or anybody who's just looking to see how much you've contributed, who's contributed what and when, and all so forth. So if you're an owner, you can see like, hey, some of these people are slacking a little bit. Some people aren't doing anything. Maybe I need to say something in chat. Maybe I need to get rid of them, whatever. It depends on what kind of like leader, I guess, you want to be. And then you can see who's contributing and all that kind of stuff. Eventually you get to a point where you can give gifts to people. Maybe somebody's really performing. They're doing the best that they can. You're like, you know what? I'll give them some different stuff. Hall of Honor is another way that if you are looking, at least this is how I'm going to use it. If you're looking for somebody like a sub leader or somebody to kind of help out with some of the different duties and stuff like that on the server, you can jump in here and be like, hey, you know, Icebox is doing really well. He's contributed a lot. He's been on a lot. Maybe I should make him a sub leader, or so on and so forth. This is really what I'm going to use it for. Whoever's kind of in these top 5 spots to me are going to be like, hey, these are the people that are playing the most and contributing the most to the guild. So I think this is really cool that they had this just from a perspective of an owner. Now, challenge, this is going to be a little bit confusing if you just joined a guild. So it says reset after 3 days. Basically, that just means that I have 3 days in order to get to the top notch here, that the missions and all that kind of stuff just started for us. So we have about 3 days in order to do all that. Now, if you have joined and it says like reset after next session, that basically means that you've probably joined in the middle of their mission. So you will not be able to contribute until it's reset. So it's just a little bit of a confusing dialogue there. But if you have joined and it says like, you know, session isn't over yet or whatever, you need to wait. And you can't even click this because I don't think you'll even be able to click it if that's the point. You'll have to wait until the next set of missions in order to contribute. And then we'll talk about rewards here in a couple of seconds. So the challenge here, if you click on challenges, you'll be met with this screen. This will basically just tell you what everybody's been doing, how much damage they've done, all that kind of stuff. And to your right, just telling you how much points they have, all the kind of different stuff. This is also a good spot for owners. You're like, hey, this guy is not only contributing a lot, they're, you know, having high ranks and all that kind of stuff. Maybe I should look into it. Now, you can see the total points here. This is going to be a little bit more prominent here in a minute, especially for owners. So pay attention to this one. And then you can go down here. Anybody can do this one, change it to guilds. So you can see how many guilds like are getting the higher scores and stuff like that. So if you're looking to kind of compete, what would you need to get in order to compete and all that kind of stuff. So this is where I think a lot of people are getting confused, because if you are a new member or you just joined and your team's pretty good at killing things, like on the first day, I think this just opened up my guild's like, hey, we've already defeated it. So you might think as a new player or somebody who hops on a little later in the week, hey, this is defeated. I don't really need to do anything. How do I contribute? What do I need to do in order to get my contribution? Just because it's defeated doesn't mean you can't do anything. So if you see this little thing down here, it says start drill. This will always be here regardless if this person is defeated or not. And you just want to click it and it'll bring you to this menu. So real briefly to the left, this is going to be a little bit different than the one that we've seen on the main page. This is going to be personal. So this is stuff that I get personally from the scores that I get from the different missions that I do, 500k being the max. You can see EXP, all that kind of stuff. You actually get this as well. You can see this helps out with contribution. So it gives you a little bit of an idea. Okay, this will actually help us, and go on and so forth. And this rewards, we'll talk about here in a second what to do with those. But these are going to be points as well. So the idea here is just real quick, as like an owner, if you go to difficulty settings, this is why this overall number is going to matter, because you can see as you kind of contribute and as you kind of go up, you can see at so many points or whatever, you can do level hires. So you can go into like level 5. You can see that they get like plus 40% on the overall points. So that means like this number up at the top actually gets boosted by 40% depending on the difficulty you're at. So if you're like, why are these other guilds so high? This is probably why. They're going to a very high level. And since they have so many members, they're able to contribute and do very, very well and get these points really, really well. So this is just something to look at if you're an owner. These skill settings is available for anybody. This is just something to look at to see like where everybody's at. You want this to be at 100% before this is actually taken. So you can see that this does siege damage target. You can see that we're at 80%. So this is something that I would probably want to do depending on where we're at, because you can actually see that the siege target's defeated. So maybe I won't go for it because it won't really matter too much in the grand scheme of things because it's already defeated. But if you're looking at it and you're like, hey, you know, it has so much health, maybe I should go for this because we're very close to it. So this battle scheme thing is a little bit confusing, but for owners, I'm pretty sure what you need to do is like click on which one you want to be prioritized. So this just gives everybody an idea of which one to go on to the next one. So for example, if we're like, hey, this one's pretty close, I want you guys to work on this one. Hey, this one's the next closest one, and so forth. Because when you actually go back, you'll see like that it says, hey, this one and this one are pretty much what we're working on. As an owner, I'm pretty sure this is just giving everybody a direction of what you would like everybody to see. Now they can still click on whatever they want. It's just giving everybody a little bit of an idea of what's going on. If the siege target has a certain amount of health, you get rewards for that and whatnot. So talking about the actual missions, this is where you're going to be going in here and you're going to be getting your rankings for the left side here. You can do 1, 1, and 1. So the one on the left here is going to be blue. It's going to be constructs. You can click it, and again, you can just see like, hey, this is almost to 100%. Maybe I should do it. This is what it does, and here's who's done the most for it and all that kind of stuff. So you can actually see here it's at 0 out of 3, meaning that I can do it 3 different times, save those things for the higher score. Now, whenever you go to click to begin mission, you can see that you can only do 1 at a time going through it. So if you click this one and you dedicate yourself to it and you actually save the scores, you cannot go back and do something else. You were kind of stuck on this one until you do your battle saved or you clear it. So that's kind of the idea there. Now, if you go through here, you can see that I have a team set up. Now, these teams, you can actually use constructs from your members of your guild. So for example, I don't really have a good A Bianca, but this person does. So I'm actually just going to use this one. And then I'm going to do the mission with their team because they have a stronger team. Now, the red one is just going to be for transcendence. That's just basically the difference here. It's called a dead zone. But the idea is that you have to use cam because it's a dead zone. Eventually, you'll get more transcendence and you'll be able to do it with more different teams and stuff like that. But just right now, it's for cam. And you can see that, hey, this person has a better cam than me. So I'm just going to go ahead and use that. Now, this is going to be the most confusing part because once you're done with those two, you're like, okay, well, what is going on? Because I still need to get so many points. So for example, let's say you get like 150k on the blue, 150k on the red. You're at 300,000 right here. And you're able to get this. And you're like, how do I get 200 more K? Like, what the heck? It's already defeated. I can't really fight anything. You can actually click the boss. I think this is the most confusing thing because nothing prompts you because it says defeated. And the first thought I had was like, oh, it's defeated. I can't fight it, right? So you can actually fight it. And again, it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be 0 out of 3. You can do it 3 different times. And then you can jump in here and you can see that sometimes it has different constructs in here. So sometimes sometimes it's better to use yours. Sometimes it's better to use somebody else's and you just make a team and then you go in here for your highest score. So that's just the idea of this. I know it's kind of like, why would it not prompt me to do it if it's defeated? but your daily ritual will basically just be going in here doing 1 blue, 1 red, and then the siege target, or however you really want to do it. Now, if the siege target's alive, you do really want to pay attention to the skills. You know, some of that stuff does damage, but if it's not and it's defeated, you can kind of just do whatever. Honestly, it just kind of depends on what you want to do. This is just going to give you a weekly contribution. So when you go back to this starts to go up because you're contributing. Now, talking about rewards, you've seen those little blue tiles. This is going to be where you spend it. So it's going to be point shop. I don't know why it takes you to supply shop at the very beginning, but this is really just going to give you the shop. You can actually go into this from the shop from here if you want to. It just doesn't really matter which way you do it. But if you are in the actual guild and you go this way, you can do it this way, and you go to point shop and you can see that you get a couple different things. So this is how much currency you have. And then, you know, you can get cam shards or whatever, or this is actually a really good crate, I think, because it has 100k cogs, some skill points, some different weapon enhancers. It's basically just helps out if you're trying to level up your character. So it's really up to you. I think I'd probably go for cam first, or if you're trying to level up certain characters or whatever, get the supply crate. It's really up to whatever you want to do. And then talking about this one right here. So this doesn't really look like a button to press. This is just something for owners. Whenever you click it, you can go through this. So I really recommend as an owner that you're going through this and you're kind of paying attention to what's going on. So if you click this, you can see that the attack increase per like the whole entire thing. Everybody gets this little increase if you put the points into it. So you can see I have 31 out of 3. I think some of these, like if it's down here, see 31 out of 1, it just gets a little bit higher as you progress through the levels. So if I have, for example, I'll just go down with this one because it's 0 out of 10. If I do this, I can put 1 in here, I can put 2 in here, and then I can go in here and I can put 1 in here and I can put 2 in here. So anything that's kind of linked up here, you can see that you can only go as high as the one before it. So this one's 2, this one's 2. I can only go to 2. So this is just to give you like, hey, I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to see what my team's been using. They've been using a lot of electric. I'm just going to increase that because you know what? My team's usually been using Biancas and stuff like that, or maybe Blooms or whatever, really to give you a little bit of a boost. And then you can go in here and you're like, hey, let's go ahead and do max increase of HP. This is going to help out my whole entire team. Just make sure you're using those points because it helps out overall and everybody gets a little bit of a boost from it. Obviously, that will mean that you're able to defeat the targets easier and you're able to get a lot higher scores. So as an owner, make sure to do it because I just found out about it today. But that is basically the idea. I think it's a little bit of a simplistic stuff, but a lot of the stuff is a little bit more confusing because it doesn't really prompt you to do things. So I just wanted to make this guide. So hopefully it helped. Anyway, guys, I will see you in the next one. Have a good rest of your night, guys. Peace.